This is eCoffee with Experts, where marketers and founders share what's actually working in SEO, AI, and digital growth. Grab your coffee and fuel your mind as we chat with top minds about their wins, struggles, and lessons you won't find in a blog post. Brought to you by Digital Web Solutions, we bring real talk to help you grow your business, one episode at a time. Let's get started.
Steve Cozzolongo, welcome to eCoffee with Experts. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. How you doing?
I'm great, man. Tell me a little bit about you. You have your hands full, and all of it is content marketing. I mean, not all of it, but a lot of it is content first marketing. Give me and the audience a little walkthrough on what kind of, what do you have your hands into these days in terms of businesses that you're running?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of what I'm doing on the day-to-day and what I'm interested in is just helping e-commerce businesses online grow digitally, right? And that is just evolving every single year. And that's why you mentioned, content first. We are a content first. And again, that's not creative. That's just content first growth marketing agency. I mean, what that really means is just, traditionally we've operated in, paid performance channels and SEO or search everywhere optimization. But the glue that brings both of those services together is the content. And I think since the beginning of digital marketing or beginning of time, we can all agree that content is king. It always has been and it always will be king.
Yeah, I mean, creative obviously is involved in that, but I love your approach that you're channel agnostic. It's really about understanding the client, where they're hanging out and what their needs are. And you as an agency will adapt to create the content that's appropriate and moves the needle. You mentioned to me off camera about, how you're thinking about being innovative as possible. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on flexing your innovation muscles and implementing AI in new and unique ways versus the tried and true and doubling down on, let's just say, good content. Where's your headspace on, how you're leaning into modern times while keeping the things that move the needle?
Yeah, definitely. I think that you always need to be keeping an eye out for how things are changing. There are some things that you can't control, right? Like how the algorithms are working on certain platforms for performance management. You're not going to influence what Google decides to do or how to change Meta's algorithm, but what you need to do is make sure that you are using the right tools and technology. You're thinking about, or you're adapting your strategy to evolve alongside of those algorithms or the machine learnings or the platforms that you're partnering with, or even just how to expand to other channels. I think back in the day, it was very common to see somebody that just specializes in Google ads or just specializes in social or meta ads. But at this point, if you are a paid performance manager, you need to be able to learn or understand or how to manage TikTok, Meta, Google, Bing, Amazon. Maybe it's targets Roundel, programmatic, podcast placements, maybe even some traditional advertising in there too, wherever you can basically pay for an ad placement. So that's really what it means, in my opinion, to be staying innovative, staying on top of all the different changes and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much, and it can seem like, there's an infinite amount of possibility and opportunity that AI is bringing to the table. But kind of like you're saying, I mean, it almost feels like if you try and keep up with all of the trends, you'll end up, what's the saying? The man who chases two rabbits will catch none. So I think from your end, doubling down on content first, understanding where the audience is and then just going in and finding out what works is a way to keep your sanity, I suppose. Since you are focused a lot on e-commerce, it's not exclusive to e-commerce, but tell me a little bit more how you're thinking about Black Friday. You had a LinkedIn post a couple months ago. I'm curious what it is that you're seeing and how you're adapting this year.
Yeah, I had a good conversation internally with my team the other day about this. And I think what every brand needs to be considering is we're in sort of an unknown territory. I think what we do know is we have some sort of understanding about the macroeconomics at this point, right? What are people feeling at this time? What are your own shopping and buying behaviors at this time? It's likely that whatever you're doing and feeling is what your neighbor is doing or whatever your client's customers are also thinking, such as, hey, do I wait till Black Friday or Cyber Monday to actually pull the deal? Do I just start browsing right now? Am I going to be pulling out my credit card and spending a ton this month or not? Or do I need to save that for groceries or other, necessities? How bad is inflation impacting me? How sensitive am I to price? All that kind of stuff. So I would say
Mm.
I don't think that there's necessarily like this playbook that every e-commerce business needs to follow. You really have to understand consumer psychology and macroeconomics to make a better decision. But the one thing that people can do is be very nimble and be ready to make changes, right? Like just because you have your marketing calendar and promotions lined out for the rest of the month and into the end of December, don't be afraid to like pivot and make some changes like on the fly. Some of our best clients are huge pain in the asses because they're just making changes constantly, but they're doing the best because they are making those changes quickly. They are seeing what's happening in real time, and then they're ordering like a big change. Hey, if that promotion isn't working, don't just run with it throughout the entire Black Friday. If it's not driving sales, you should know pretty early on in the day if that's an effective sale, if that's the right language. And if it's
Mm.
not, hey, then you need to have a team that is all hands on deck, that's willing to make a change, and everybody can agree and pivot very quickly. So that's the number one piece of advice for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And then I guess like the second piece is just that listen to your own gut and intuition. How you are shopping currently is how other people are shopping. You're not like this anomaly that's super unique. Everybody is probably doing the same thing.
Mm. Yeah, I love that because when we talk about AI and information that is commoditized, like what will shine through and be the competitive advantage is taste. And trusting your gut goes with that. It's like people will be attracted to, if you're working with brands who are at scale, like a lot of the times people are attracted to those brands because of the way that it makes them feel, irregardless of price. I mean, obviously pricing is involved, but it helps or it hurts the brand. Obviously, with like designer goods, the price helps the brand become
Mhm.
more exclusive. So, anyway, before I get on a tangent, speaking of pricing, with being a content first growth agency, how do you think about pricing your packages or services, with PPC, SEO, and anything else that comes along with that? Like, what's the strategy behind it?
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to pricing out those packages, the number one thing that we're trying to do is make sure that somebody is not going through their P&L, looking at this marketing expense and line item, and then wondering what the hell digital position is doing. Right? We
Mm.
never want to be in that position. We will always want to make sure that there's clear value for what somebody is paying for. So when it comes to pricing, more recently, we have moved to more of like a customized pricing model based on people's needs. At the end of the day, like I said, it's really a growth marketing offering. But within growth marketing, that could mean a variety of different services. But in order to do this and be really effective, you need to understand what resources a client or a prospective like client has so that you can work with them and make sure that you're making the most efficient choices and where they're at in their growth like journey. So for example,
Mm.
if they're doing $5 million, you're going to have a much different conversation or you're going to present different solutions than somebody who's doing 100 or $250 million in revenue, right? A year.
Mm.
So, what we're trying to do is move more to very obvious like retainer models that are like, for example, for paid performance. I don't think that there's really a place for people to be charging on percentage of ad spend that much
Mm.
unless they're handling all creative and landing pages and content on the website and CRO and everything like that.
Mm.
And then once you add in those services, that's really only appropriate for somebody who probably is over 10 million, because then you need to have a package of at least like $5,000 a month.
Mm.
So you're really looking at like some sort of very clear retainer for ongoing monthly services, such as like
Mm.
paid management. And then there's other variables. And when we're content first, content comes in a bunch of different forms. That could be video, take video. That could be working with micro creators. That could be editing existing content or creative or video that you already have. That could be
Mhm.
the client shoots video and then you edit it. That could be high production, mid production video, whatever, you name it. But it's your
Mm.
job to figure out which type of content, which type of video makes the most sense for that message that you're trying to convey or for that customer's budget.
Mm.
So sorry, I know that was like a long kind of unclear answer. But it really just depends on the needs. And I think that's why we have a really strong relationship with our clients, is
Yeah.
because we are thinking about what's the most efficient, most effective way to work with our clients. And it's not just a cookie cutter approach.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I mean, the white glove experience is what keeps clients around. I mean, I think the number one metric for retention, or the number one factor that keeps clients staying month after month, is the relationship. It's not necessarily ROI and ROAS, although those are important too, but it's relationship and reporting. Like, can I have clean
Hmm.
reporting? But going back to the relationship piece, with you being a partner and a co-founder and just an all-around entrepreneur, like, you have your head in the visionary direction and staying on top of trends and creating strategy, and then you have a team, I would imagine, that handles client relationships for the most part, new business development for the most part, I would say, obviously executing the strategy that you help lay out. What does your acquisition strategy look like these days? I'm asking, where do most of your leads, or where does most of your pipeline come from?
Yeah, so we have multiple avenues or ways that we grow. I think every agency probably says, hey, referrals and networking. I mean,
Mhm.
that's just the number one. It should be the number one. It's the easiest thing, right? If you're doing a good job, then it's the work speaks for itself. So
Mhm.
that's the number one growth avenue for us, and probably will never really change. The
Mhm.
second one is we're doing a little bit more cold outreach to some people. And the third one would be our own content that we're creating. So treating ourselves as a client. I think a really wise agency would probably start doing that from day one. But let's be real, I think 90% of agencies out there probably don't do that until they've hit some sort of inflection point where they're like, hey,
Mm.
I'm just about or I'm just about like getting new clients, as many new clients as I am losing, clients, whatever. I need to say that a little bit more eloquently, but yeah, basically your churn rate is just matching your growth rate. And
Mm.
that's when the wheels start turning. You're like, hey, why don't I just treat myself as my own client, and start updating my blog and making content and making videos and hopping on podcasts and getting
Mm.
our names out there and stuff like that. um,
Yeah.
but something for that cold outreach part. Nobody wants to get spammed on LinkedIn and emails about some like BS offering that has no meaning or value and is definitely not personalized to anybody. So what we're really doing is we're looking for, what's the shiny new object that can actually bring value within the next 30 days? And that would be
Mm.
like my number one piece of advice to any other agency. It's like, you shouldn't just like reach out to somebody and just say, hey, like, do you want me to go audit your Google Ads account? I mean, how many other agencies out there can do that? And we're just all going to come up with the same exact thing. Hey, like your setup or whatever. And, I can't believe you had this keyword running. That should have been a negative or something like that. That's super weak and it's not very exciting. However, you could create something that is a little bit more like personalized or special to that person. Or you could prove with some sort of like outreach and case study that this is one tactic that we did or that we can do for you that is going to bring you immediate results within the next 30 days. And then you can create some sort of offering there. And even if
Mm.
it's not like a huge, money maker from day one, hopefully it starts bringing or establishing some sort of trust that then leads into other service offerings.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what sort of lead magnets can we create that are both shiny and new enough that it captures attention, but also tried and true enough that you know that you can reliably deliver results for that? It's a tricky balance, trying to
Mhm.
stay ahead of the curve in that regard. Do you have something that kind of hits both of those, as maybe an entry offer or an upsell offer, or something like that? Like, what is just like your bread and butter when it comes to an offer?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different things. For one, let's say if you take SEO, you could do a quick AI SEO audit for somebody. Hey, just go to the most
Mm.
popular LLMs, search the brand, see if it gets recommended. So, for example, if you're talking about a seed company and you just say, hey, what are the best companies that I should buy seeds from? And if the if the LLM does not show that company's name, then that's like a pretty good way to reach out if you have a solution for that. So you could just
Mm.
immediately say, hey, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, I asked them the same question if they would recommend buying seeds from you if you're a reputable company or not. Maybe all of them just say no and they list 10 other competitors. Throw that in front of a CEO, and I'm sure they're going to have some sort of response as long as you have a solution for that. On the
Mm,
paid side, immediate value could be first party server side tracking, something like that, where we know that you need to control the inputs into the platforms to make sure that it's the machine learning and the algorithms are performing better. Many people do use a bunch of different versions of server side tracking, but at least we have, solutions for our specific solution. We have examples and case studies for our specific solution that we offer, and we can see immediate results within the first 30 days.
mm,
Or maybe it's even on the SEO side, a lot of generative overviews, or for geo, they're using a lot of different citations from forums.
mm.
Hey, do you have any presence on Reddit? Is anybody monitoring or doing any social listening? Is anybody responding to the community under your name? That's a service offering that we provide as
Mm,
well.
mm, mm. Man, Reddit is huge, but it's such an untapped opportunity, especially for agencies, just because there's a lot that goes into it in terms of resources. Like you have to have a real person in there
Yep.
representing the brand, being careful enough. I mean, some subreddits, like the mods, will ban you just for having a company name in in your tag or in your handle.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you guys approach Reddit, especially organic Reddit marketing, if that's what you want to call it?
Yeah. Well, we're trying to be as authentic and true to the brand as possible when we're doing that. What we're doing is creating accounts or managing the accounts of somebody within the company. So maybe it's the CEO. We'll just
Mm,
use their name, and then in the bio we
mm,
can put a link to the company and say, "Hey, this is the CEO of Nike," or whatever it might be. And then just authentically answering these questions, how we can help the company with the Reddit or the community engagement piece is, every single week, mining all the different questions that exist. So it's like twofold. One, what is the community actually talking about? What are they having trouble with? What kind of questions do they have? Or two, when you're doing certain searches within the industry about the brand, what type of Reddit threads are actually popping up? So from all that information, now we take all those different like questions or those different threads that we need to interact with, and then we just hop on a call like this and we just
mm,
interview the expert on the team. So that way we can get real, true, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness,
mhm.
EAT type responses that we can then throw back into these threads that are like super unique and that actually come straight from the horse's mouth. Like we're not using AI to do this. Like this is, like you said, a lot of actual resources, real human involvement from the US, like real
Mm,
people that
mhm.
can really understand the brand and the customers.
It's a concept. You mentioned social listening as a
Mhm.
concept. And I think that's, that combined with having a trustworthy original voice is what's going to be the competitive advantage for marketers in the future. Is can you put a unique spin, just like you said, EEAT on relevant topics that are being talked about in the community that's contextual to your product or service? Do you have like, you mentioned not using AI. I imagine you're saying we don't use AI to create the content. Maybe we can use it to help edit or, I would think you're
Yeah.
using AI to source topics. Can you walk me through a little bit more of like what the process is in order to create that content consistently?
Yeah, yeah. So we definitely use AI and automation wherever we possibly can. I think like automation might just blur into AI for us at this point. But
Mhm.
yeah, like on the research side, definitely leverage technology tools, AI, whatever it might be. So we've used tools like Apify or Gumloop to create or and to create some sort of like automation to, scrape certain threads. And then maybe we take the spreadsheet of scraped questions or comments, and then we throw it into an LLM to summarize what the context of that thread might be. Or when we hop on the call to interview the expert from our client, we'll probably use AI to help us generate that transcript or
Mm,
summarize the conversation, or obviously make that answer a little bit like clearer, because when we're having that natural
mm.
conversation, obviously that doesn't translate exactly into what we want to cut and paste into that comment or the response.
Right, right. Man, you mentioned a couple apps there. I'm curious, I've kind of had two different sides to this story or two different responses. There are the agencies that are saying, I'm just going to find the tools that fit into the workflows I already have and make them more efficient. And then you have the other agencies that are like, we're gonna go above and beyond and like create new software, using like Lovable or Cursor or Replit or something like that, and create a
Mhm.
unique use case for something that we want to create, and then eventually be able to productize or at least use that as a competitive advantage. Maybe it can be like, maybe it's a lead magnet, right? Like a limited version of that, and say, hey, if you want to continue to receive the benefits of this, you can come and work with us. Which side are you on? I mean, are you finding tools that can just help you be more efficient, or do you have like an AI department that's like really
Yeah.
building new process out?
Yeah, we fall into that first camp, but I would say that it's pretty wise to have somebody on your team that is passionate about that.
Yeah.
Are passionate about the tools and the advancements within AI or automation or anything like that. We do have a guy. He's a Swiss Army knife when it comes to that, and it's awesome. We can
Mm.
talk about different ideas that we might have, or talk about the biggest problems within our leadership chat, and then figure out how we can solve that or integrate it into our workflows, update our processes, or make something a little bit more efficient or scalable. I think we had back in the day, back in like 2017, we created Data Pulse, which was a reporting dashboard tool within our website. We tried to keep it updated. We tried to stay innovative with it in terms of, what type of KPIs we were reporting, what type of APIs we were integrating into that tool. But it was too hard, and you're gonna spend a lot of money, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes, and then ultimately you're never gonna be as good as a full team that is dedicated to that one product. So
Hmm.
we scrapped that. That's not the right direction for us, especially if I guess going back full circle into the man who chases two rabbits isn't going to catch any. We have to just focus on what
Yep.
we are passionate as a company and stay true to our brand, and make sure that all we really care about is delivering real tangible results to our clients. And then we'll find the tools, or maybe we can augment some of the processes or whatever we're doing with some of these tools to deliver better results.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I mean, the phrase that I see just almost tattooed on your forehead is, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Mhm.
And I know that that's your mantra going into 2026, because we're about I don't know, what, 6 weeks out from the end of 2025. What's a mantra? If it's that one, that's great, but what's a mantra that you and your team are just, shouting like a battle cry into 2026?
Yeah, besides the content, I don't really know. I think it's just really, content first, and not only for our clients but for ourselves. We are on a mission to make sure that everything that is useful internally also gets shared externally. So
Mm.
there is nothing that we do at this point that is like super proprietary that nobody else in the digital marketing world can't figure out. Like, that's why I'm just telling you, look, if you are an agency and you need to add a new service, go do the Reddit engagement or community engagement. I just told you should probably look into Apify to scrape different results, or you can use NAN to build some sort of like crawler. You should just interview somebody, hop on a call, take those questions, interview somebody, then use AI or whatever to take that transcript. Like, that's the process. That's what you should be doing. But it's not like anything crazy unique. And it's not like I'm the first person to figure this out and nobody else is going to figure this out. So how we teach somebody maybe it's a new strategist or somebody internally, or how do we upsell or educate a client on what we think is best for them, should just be shared with everybody else through different types of content. And whether that's a blog post, whether that's a Notion guide, and whether that turns into like a white paper that you could download, whether that turns into a long form video where we're like literally walking through how to set up Apify to actually scrape that comment, or what it looks like to actually set up a Reddit profile, whatever it might be. That's what we're really focused on. That's what we're screaming out in 2026. I guess it's more of like, how can we again just add value to, or provide value, immediate value to our prospects or potential leads.
Mm.
Yeah, and just like there's really nothing to hide.
Dude, I think you are talking about the elephant in the room, which is information is commoditized now. Like you
Mhm.
said,
Yeah.
like there's nothing really. I mean, I talk with a lot of agency owners, and a lot of the times, like we're all talking about the same thing, man.
Yep.
And I think you're doing a service to the rest of the marketing industry and raising the bar by saying, well, there's no secret sauce. It's just whoever is putting out the most value, helping the most people. So, on that note, if pretty much across the board, everything is available, The barrier to entry to start an agency is lower than ever. Information is commoditized. What do you think is the competitive advantage moving forward?
Yeah, the competitive advantage we always say on our team is, well, one, you can't fire a friend, right? So it's really important to have like really good relationships. So
Mm,
especially with our strategists and our clients. And two, it's just that just comes down to the people that you hire on the team. It's
mm,
really hard just in general out there, regardless of what industry you're in, to have like a really solid company culture and everything like that. I would say it's even harder when you're running an agency and you're working remote.
mm,
So I would just say like invest in, your people, keep them educated, keep them hungry and excited, give them, like kudos when it's due. Figure out ways to help them win and like celebrate those wins. Kind of like a tangent, but I just think that like as marketers, we are like the kickers in football. Or like when you watch a kicker in football, what do you expect? It should just be in every single time, right? Like
uh-huh.
as a viewer, our expectation is that every kicker makes 100% of their kicks. And nobody celebrates or really gives a shit if they make it or not, or if they make it, right? That was expected. So that's like
Yeah.
what it is in marketing. Hey, you're supposed to just do a good job. You're supposed to grow my account. You're supposed to scale my business. We're supposed to hit higher revenue. Cool, you did your job.
Mm,
Versus, hey, you didn't hit the mark there. Like all hell breaks loose. What's
mm.
going on? All that kind of stuff. So because we're under that type of scrutiny and that we are considered like kickers in football, you have to find ways to like win and celebrate for your team. And that is the secret sauce out there to provide better service and to be a better agency.
Yeah, it's a great analogy in bringing the people together that have the same core values, the same vision, the same kind of almost persona, but are different enough where they can supplement your weaknesses. Man, that's a tough challenge, a tough balance, especially across three companies, as someone like yourself has to deal with every day. But it's what a time to be alive, man. What a time to be
Yeah.
alive. And
Yeah.
is there anything that we should talk about that we haven't yet discussed?
I think just something that we had talked about a little bit before off camera is just that I don't really think that within digital marketing, I don't think that there's really a huge difference between performance marketing or PPC and SEO. And the common denominator is that content. And again, that's why we are content first growth marketing agency, where you need to be an effective marketer or to be an effective business and to connect with your customer, you need to have some sort of creative content angle. And that comes through some sort of branded or brand or community insight or review or wherever, something that's coming from the customer's mouth.
Mm,
And you need to address it, explain it, educate, or make it a little bit more entertaining. And once you've made that type of content that is either educational or entertaining, all the different channels are secondary. So whether that's putting on your blog and trying to rank organically and gaining visibility, whether that's making an organic video for TikTok or Instagram or Meta, or whether that's making a paid ad for, Google, Bing, Meta, whatever, you name it. All of
mm.
it is the same. And the root of all of that success just comes from really solid quality content.
I love that. That is, yeah, I think that's the battle cry for me moving forward and is like channel agnostic, like just create good content. And just last note from me here is it can come from text and then evolve into video and then evolve into, you know,
Mhm.
a PDF on LinkedIn, one of those slides. But yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Steve Cozzolongo, where can we find out more about you online?
Yeah, you can go to my LinkedIn, Steve Cozzolongo, or Digital Position, Digitalposition, digitalposition.com. Come check out our website, see what we're doing, learn a little bit from our blog, or just say hi to me on LinkedIn. That's probably my favorite social platform at the moment, mostly just because I've tried to get away from Meta and Instagram these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. I know. Same thing here. Same thing here. I will meet you over on LinkedIn, bro.
All right, sounds good.
All right. Thanks for being here. See you.